guys, so today I wanted to do a little bit more of an in-depth light coverage foundation tutorial, especially for those of you with problem skin, because as you know, I too am an acne scarred angel. Welcome to my world. Just to let you guys know before we get in any further, this video is sponsored by Glamglow, so thank you Glamglow for the sponsorship and thank you guys for supporting me. And without any further ado, we're just gonna jump right into it. So as I mentioned in one of my past videos, I have been doing some lighter coverage foundation over the past month, maybe 2 months. If you guys do end up trying this, I would love to see your pictures and what products you guys are using and all that good stuff, so you guys can tag me on Twitter or Instagram or wherever you want. If you guys are in my Facebook beauty group, you can totally post there. I just really want to challenge you guys to try rocking a more kind of natural skin look. If you do try it, I'd love to see the photos. So yeah, tag me if you do it. Let's jump into this. Okay, so to start, I thought we could just take a good close look at my skin. So this is kind of where I'm at right now. The rest of my skin is doing quite well, actually. My skin tone is getting a little bit more even. I'm kind of getting rid of some of my sun damage, but I still have a little bit of active acne and a lot of acne scarring, as you can see, that kind of goes into both sides. So that's where the majority of the coverage is going to be going today. Basically, the way that I like to explain this is that instead of covering all these areas where I don't need as much coverage and my skin tone is even and, you know, my skin looks nice and glowy and all those good things, instead of piling on full coverage to those areas that don't need it, I'm going to be putting light coverage all over and then going in and spot concealing, so that in comparison, the concealer will be higher coverage, whereas the rest of my skin won't be so covered, and then the areas that don't need it aren't getting cakey and dry and patchy and all these things that they don't need. So yeah, hopefully I explained that well, but I just wanted to give you guys a good, nice, close look at my skin, because I feel like with these lights and sometimes with how bright it is and stuff like that, my skin can look better than it does. But as you can see, I got some shit going on, so yeah. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, I'm going to move on to doing my skin. So I'm going to be mixing today. You guys know I like mixing my foundations. And what I've been doing for about the past month, maybe month and a half, is mixing 50% foundation with 50% moisturizer. So the foundations that I'm going to be mixing are the Estee Lauder Double Wear Nude, and I'm using this in the color 1W2 Sand. And then I'm going to be mixing that 25% and then 25% of the L'Oreal Pro Glow 24-hour foundation in 202 Creamy Natural. I like both these foundations because I feel like they both have kind of good coverage, but they're still not quite full coverage in my opinion, and they do have a little bit of a luminescence to them. And I also find that it's not so dewy that it's not lasting throughout the day, or that at the end of the day I feel super oily. Like, they just have the right amount of dew without being over the top. So I'm going to be mixing that 50-50 with my Glamglow Glowstarter Mega Illuminizing Moisturizer. Whew! In Nude Glow. So this is the moisturizer that I've been mixing with for the past little bit. I really like it because it's moisturizing, but again, it doesn't leave me super oily at the end of the day. Whenever I'm thinking about beauty products, I like things that look good for a long time but also wear off nicely. And some moisturizers that I've tried mixing with make my foundation come off really patchy, or they're just too sparkly and shimmery. This has a nice kind of pearlescent sheen to it, so it does make your skin look really nice and glowy, which you guys will see in a second. But it's not big chunky glitter or gold flakes or anything like that, which I personally just find a little bit too much for just everyday wear. Maybe if I was going out or something, I would want to look a little bit more fancy, but just for every day, I really like that this is just a nice sheer kind of shine to it that just looks more glowy and healthy, as opposed to you know, anything that's too pearlescent and glittery. I also find that this has just been keeping my skin a little bit more hydrated throughout the day. Sometimes by the end of the day, my skin gets quite patchy, and especially in my fine lines and all that kind of stuff, it just gets really dry and it looks cakier. When I'm mixing with this moisturizer, it kind of just helps with those kinds of issues as well, which is really nice, because I just don't want to add more texture to my skin than I have to, because I do already have these skin issues, and it smells good. So there's that. So I'm just gonna be grabbing some of that on my spatula, about 50-50 again with my foundation, and then I just mix that all together on my little palette, and then I just kind of do a little bit of a color match, and then I always say, you know what, whatever man, it's not gonna match perfect, so I'm just gonna move on with my life. And then I get up to wet my beauty blender, because I don't have anyone here to do it for me. thinking about getting an assistant. Okay. Oh my god, no! I put my palette on the floor and now I'm trying to pick it up with my little talons. Like I try to pick up my debit card off like the side of the fucking counter when the cashier puts it down, and I'm like, I'm holding it on my hand, please don't put it down, I have these nails. And then she puts it down and you're trying to like pick it up and you're like, tick, 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 tick. That's what's happening. My palette's on the floor. I don't know what to do. Hold on. I'm gonna get this. Fuck yeah, buddy. Okay. Everything's okay. Okay, so I have my little 50-50 foundation moisturizer mixture, and I'm going to grab my foundation brush. I'm using the Samir Kuzami number 32. It's falling apart, like all my favorite brushes. I'm just going to dip into that foundation, and I'm going to start moving my hair out of the way. I'm going to start buffing it on. And just applying a nice thin layer of that all over my skin. So with this kind of technique, you might feel really uncomfortable at first just because a lot of us are so used to full coverage foundation, and it can be kind of weird to see like redness showing through or freckles or your acne scarring or whatever it may be. But just honestly, just try it. Try it for like a week. Try and get more comfortable with the look of your actual skin, because first of all, that's just a good thing in general. And I've really, really felt like over the past little while that I've been doing this technique, I've become more comfortable with my acne, more comfortable with my scarring, more comfortable without makeup, like all these kinds of things, just because I'm so used to seeing my natural skin now. And I'm really starting to like embrace it and feel comfortable and just more beautiful even in general, which is, you know, nice. So I do really think you should try it. If full coverage ends up still being your thing, go hard, man. Whatever makes you comfortable, whatever you love. But I really think it's just so nice to try, especially if you're somebody that deals with problem skin. For so long, I felt like I couldn't do light coverage because I was like, yeah, light coverage would be great, but like I'm not a fucking goddess. But I really, really do recommend it, especially if you have problem skin, because you can make your skin look a lot better. I just feel like I want you to understand. So anyways, I just do that nice sheer coverage, and then I'm just gonna take my beauty blender and go over the whole thing and just make sure that it's nice and blended out and I don't have any streaks or anything like that. You can take this down your neck if you're diligent. I'm going to pretend that I'm a good beauty guru and do exactly that. Can't touch me now, internet, all right? I'm gonna go ahead and go in with my concealer. I'm gonna be using my Tarte Shape Tape in Light Neutral. And I'm just going to put 3 little dots of that under my eye. You don't need a ton of this unless you're into that look, man. So I'm just blending out that concealer quickly. And I'm bringing it a little bit over my nose where I have some extra redness, and I'm just kind of stippling it on. Okay, now, we're gonna go in and spot conceal. So for this, I'm gonna be using my NARS Soft Matte Concealer. What was it called? Soft Matte Complete Concealer in the shade Custard. And I'm just taking this on a tiny little pencil brush, and I'm just picking up a little bit of product. And then I'm going to go in and literally just place the concealer right over top of my acne scarring or my active acne, whatever I got going on. So with this, you really want to make sure that you have a concealer that matches as well as you possibly can get. Just because I know that sometimes people get like a concealer that's quite a bit lighter for underneath their eyes or whatever it may be. Or maybe you use concealers for highlighting and contouring. But with this technique, you really want to make sure that it matches as well as it possibly can, because you're going to be blending it into the rest of this kind of light coverage foundation. So now I'm just going to take my fingers and just dab over top. I'm not going to blend away. I'm not going to like use like harsh circular motions. I'm literally just going to gently tap over top. The reason why is because I want to keep that coverage right where we put it, because we spent this time meticulously going over every single one of our spots. So you're wanting to keep the coverage right there instead of blending it away. And I'm just really lightly tapping. And then what I like to do is after I'm done tapping out my concealer, I take the finger that I was tapping with and I tap right around the corners of my nose. The reason that I don't want to put a lot of concealer right there is because I just find that it just so quickly bunches up and like gets right around my nose, and I hate that look. So I just am taking the leftover concealer and tapping it around to get rid of some of the redness, but I'm not super concerned about getting all of it. So I'm just zooming in here to show you guys what we're working with now. So you can see when I'm mixing with that moisturizer, I still have kind of like a nice natural sheen and glow to my foundation, but it's not something where it's like super shimmery or glittery. It doesn't look abnormal. It just kind of looks like I have nice healthy skin. So we just have some nice coverage going on. The rest of my skin still looks like skin, but the parts that need to be covered are, and yeah. That's how it looks, and I'm really digging it. So at this point, you could totally powder if you wanted to. Personally, you guys know I'm not a super big fan of powder, so I'm just gonna move on with the rest of my face makeup. Okay, so moving on to the rest of my skin, I'm gonna be taking my Smear Kusami number 11 brush, and I'm going to be grabbing the new Benefit Hoola Light Bronzer. I like this so much more than the original Hoola. I like that it's a little bit more neutral. It's not super, super cool toned. I find whenever they come out with something that's meant more for light skin, it's like gray, and it's just not the look I'm going for, you know what I mean? I don't really tan in the gray tones, I just don't. So I like that this is a little bit more neutral. It's not super warm, it's not super gray, it's just like a good tone. So I'm just gonna grab that on my brush and apply that on my little cheekbones. Just kind of blending up into my hairline and my temple, and then going around the sides of my forehead there. So to keep with our nice kind of glowy, fresh skin, I'm going to be using a cream blush. This one is from MAC. It's called Ladyblush. It looks like this. It's a nice kind of like a beigey pink color. And I'm just gonna apply that super lightly with my beauty blender. So I'm just gonna literally like tap in once and then stipple it on. There we go. And if you feel like you were too heavy-handed with your blush, you can just kind of dip your beauty blender back into your foundation that you mixed earlier and stipple over top. For my highlight, I'm going to be using my Nudestix Illumi-naughty. I'm just going to stipple that on with my fingers. I just really love this so much. It just makes your skin look so nice and healthy and glowy, almost like you're just gently sweating, you know? It's everything I want and more. So I'm just tapping this on so as not to move around any of our nice coverage we just spent time building up, as well as our bronzer and our blush and all that good stuff. I'm just tapping it right over top. And that's where I'm gonna leave the skin. I'm gonna go finish the rest of my makeup, and then I'm gonna come back. You guys can see me in my final form, and then I will bid you adieu. So that is everything, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys learned something cool today. Let me know what you'd like to see next in the comments below, and I will get back to you. Peace out.